Apparently, the word on the street is that last night was the airing of the Katie and Peter episode,
Yes,
which
it was.
features their non-appearance on this show, and also, obviously, has a starring role for our very own Allard.
Apparently, Katie Price's PA woman was slagging me off on the show, and Alan went out and did his statement to the camera and was very serious.
After he'd had a shave and put on some makeup.
If anybody saw the show, can you just text in and tell me if I'm right? I didn't see it, but this is exactly what I predict happened. When Katie Price was late for our show, right, very late, and the people who were making sure she got here on time knew that if she was late, she'd get cancelled. They even spoke to Alan the day before and said, and I take it if we're late, you'll cancel us. And Alan said, yeah, I'm afraid we have to now. We've started a precedent, we can't go back. Right, no worries. And in my mind, half of me thinks they were deliberately late to get the press and get all the press coverage out of it. I reckon that the show last night, the Peter and Katie show last night, there would have been an excuse along the lines of, well, Harvey wasn't very well, and, Chris doesn't understand that, as a mother, Katie had to blah, 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 blah. Which is absolutely a crock of crap.
Because she was fine to then appear in Harrods or somewhere.
Yeah, she had to look after her child. Well, who was looking after her child when she was having a photo taken outside Harrods at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? Or while she was doing countless number of other interviews all day? I honestly, if that's what happened last night, if it's not, I'll take it back. But if that's what happened in the show last night, I'll actually be very annoyed. But I don't think using her child as an excuse is a very clever or wise thing to do.
But also, if you remember going back to the day when this all happened and stuff, and we were talking about this whole situation, and many people were texting in with a hugely valid point saying, I'm a single mum, I've got 3 kids, blah, 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 I work as a nurse or whatever like that. I can't be late for my job because my kids aren't ready or something like that. And it was Katie Price has got people to help her and everything.
Yeah, I tell you.
Excuse whatsoever.
Look, I ain't being funny. I'm not a parent, so no, I don't understand exactly what it's like to be a parent. I have a good idea, but I don't fully understand, and I won't until I have kids. And fair enough, I'll hold my hands up. However, with all the dough that Kate Price has got and all the people around her, please do me a favour.
The thing is, though...
It actually leaves a really horrible taste in my mouth, that whole thing. If they're using that poor child as an excuse for their A, unprofessionalism, or B, slackness, or whatever it may be, or even worse, possibly C, in a way to gain publicity. If they're using poor Harvey for that, that's disgusting. And then for them to stand there on TV and go, Chris Moore's too big for his boots, Katie's a mother, Harvey has the difficulties, blah. That's sick. It's sick. Absolutely sick. That was a major... Let me tell you how these things work. That's a major press day for Katie Price. And as I said, I don't really have a problem with Katie, although she's said it as well. And we'll thrash this out next time she comes to the show. She's certainly not banned from the show in any way. But these are how these things work. On a massive press day like that, that's all organised,
months, weeks in advance.
They know that they have a full day of press. They're going to maximise the publicity by doing as many things as you can. They start the day by doing this show. We've got 8 million listeners. Great. Tick the box. Often, how many times Katie been on the show and then they've gone straight... The next thing's been Richard and Jude this morning with...
They do the whole lot, don't they?
They do the whole day. And then a big press thing in the afternoon outside Harrods. Right? Don't think for 1 second... that she's kind of on her own, running around with Harvey, trying to make Peter's breakfast in a dressing gown. There's none of that going on. There's probably people around the house. I don't even know if she was at home the night before. She might have been in a hotel. I just think it's a cheap shot to use the kids as an excuse. How many times does Dominic... Dominic never uses... Unless he's drunk from the night before.
Then he sometimes blames it on them.
Goes, I'm sorry about that. Finn and I stayed up, drinking whiskey, playing,
it's unusual, though, isn't
Fair
it?
enough.
It's unusual.
Anyway, rant over.
And also the irony...
I wish her all the very best, and I think she's a very nice girl.
The irony of Katie's PA on camera on ITV saying that you're too big for your boots.
Yeah. Is that big fat bird as well? Yeah. If that's the right woman I'm thinking of, she's too big for her knickers, that fat cow. They'll start giving me grief. It's that quote in the paper that a manager said, well, we might have to rethink about, going on the Chris Moore show. We might have to rethink about working with them. working with us.
We give you a stage.
Come on the show to plug a book.
Big stage, you promote yourself. Bye-bye.
Please.